Hi everyone, in this video we are going to review the IXL assignment Y9, which is writing a linear equation from a graph. All right, let's not delay and get started. Here we have a graph for us, but we need to read the directions because there are different ways to write the equation of a line. So we need to see which way do we need to do that here. What is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form? Let's first review what slope-intercept form is. Do you remember? Y equals mx plus b. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. What does the m represent? The m represents the slope of our line. What does the b represent? That is our y-intercept. It's important that we remember this because the m and the b are the two variables that need to become numbers. They need to become integers, which means those are the two pieces of information that we need to find from the graph. I always like to start with finding the y-intercept first because that is the initial point. And that's where you start when you graph it. So let's not make it easy, and let's make it easier. And when we do the reverse, let's do the exact same steps. Instead of plotting it, we just need to locate it. Y-intercept, that's where the graph intercepts, where it crosses the y-axis. So right here we have the y-axis. So where does my graph intercept it? Ooh, this point right here at 50, which means our b, our y-intercept, is 50. All right, I'm halfway done. Now let's find the slope. Slope, remember, is how much our y changes over how much our x changes. So rise over run. When we're looking for that rise over run, we're trying to find that movement. So we're kind of going from point to point, which means I encourage you guys to find a second point on that line. Obviously, they weren't very nice. They didn't put any points there for you. So you need to locate that. And a good point is where it crosses a grid line perfectly because you know that you're not going to be messing with partial numbers or having to estimate and do some decimals. And it looks like right here is the next spot where your line crosses two grid lines perfectly. It intercepts nicely, has a nice value. So that's where I need to count my rise over run. It kind of looks like it's just up 1 over 1, but don't get tricked by that because is your graph counting by ones? No, your graph is going up by tens, which means when you do your rise over run, you need to count by tens. So we go up 1 space, but that's really a rise of 10. And then we run 1 space, but my x is also counting by tens, which means that is a run of 10. The slope of our line is 10 over 10, but we always want to simplify our answer. What's 10 divided by 10? 1. Our graph has a slope of 1. That's all the information we need. So now we just need to substitute those numbers back into our slope-intercept form. Our slope-intercept equation is y equals our m. Well, we discovered our m, our slope was 1. Then we have x plus, what was our b? What was our y-intercept? 50. And that right there is our answer. I do want to remind you real quick that mathematicians are lazy. You hear me say that all the time. It's a good way to get this to stick in your head. Because whenever we don't have to write something, we don't write it. So what's a better way, what's the mathematician way to write this equation? hopefully you're remembering that the best way to write it is simply y equals x plus 50. Because if I only have one x, I don't need to write the 1 because I can see that there is a single x there. But I want to try something. I want to see if you guys forget to do this, if IXL will still count it right if you enter your answer as 1. So let's see that. Y equals 1x plus 50. Good, it still counts it correct, which is good to know. So if you forget to simplify a little bit farther and get rid of that 1, you'll still get right on it. You'll still get it correct on IXL. All right, let's try this one. Once again, you're going to notice the directions are the same every single time. We are going to write our equation in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b, which means the two pieces of information I am looking for is our slope, which is our m, and our y-intercept, which is our b. Let's begin by finding that b, our y-intercept. Our b is where our graph begins. It's where our graph intercepts the y-axis. It may not look like this one does, but don't be fooled. It starts right here, which is at what point? Yeah, it's at 0. All right, let's find our slope. So rise over run. But I need to find where I'm rising and running to. I need to find that second point. Well, right here, see how it doesn't cross a grid line perfectly? And I would have to have a decimal, and yikes, that'd be icky. Here, still doesn't cross perfectly, but right here, that's where my line crosses a grid line perfectly. So I know its value, and it will make it much easier to count and do rise over run. So this point right here is where I'm going to go. All right, let's see. What's my graph counting by? My graph's counting by 1s this time. So I'm going to count by 1s. We rise 1, 2, 3 spaces. And then that is divided by our run. We run over 1 space. Our slope is 3 over 1. But if we divide that to simplify it, 3 divided by 1 is simply 3. Now I have all the information needed, so let's write our answer as an equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. All right, y equals our m, which we just discovered was 3, x plus our b, which is 0. All right, and that's our answer. But guess what? Once again, mathematicians have found a way to be lazy. Do you know what they're lazy about this time? The y-intercept. Because if I'm adding 0, does that change anything? No. So the better way to write your answer would simply just be as y equals 3x. Because if nothing is on the end, then I know that it starts at 0. But just like before, let's try writing it in the other way. So that way, if you forget this extra step, I want to see if you'll still get it right. Y equals 3x plus 0. And you still get it right, so that's really good to know. All right, let's jump up a level and do one more together. All right, same set of directions. We want to write our equation in slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is a formula, so it doesn't change. Y equals mx plus b. All right, let's find that b first. Let's find our y-intercept. So where does our graph intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis? Right here, 40. B equals 40. Now we need to calculate our slope, rise over run. And ooh, I see that my graph intercepts nicely right there. This time my graph is back to counting by tens. So I rise 10 and I run 10. Let's simplify our fraction. 10 divided by 10, which is 1. Now we have all we need to write our equation. Let's substitute. Let's replace our m and our b with the found values. Y is equal to 1x plus RB, which is 40. All right, this time though, I'm going to type in my answer in the best way because I'm a mathematician, so I'm going to be lazy and just enter my answer as y equals x plus 40. That's good. Ooh, I lied. We're going to do one more because I want to do one when you have 4 quadrants. Here's the nice thing, guys. When you have a full graph, the only thing that means is you might have some negative numbers, but don't let that scare you because the steps are still the same. So this will now be our final problem. Check out the directions here. I'm still writing the equation in slope-intercept form, which means my equation is still y equals mx plus b. That doesn't change just because I now have a 4-quadrant graph. All right, let's find our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So here's my y, that's the y-axis, it's vertical. And I see my graph crosses right here, which is -4. B is -4. All right, let's find that slope, that rise over run. In my graph, you can pick any point, but I always like to pick the closest one because by picking the closest one, that means we're going to have smaller numbers and we're less likely to have to simplify or reduce our fraction. And I always like to work smarter, not harder. Which means right here, I know that's a terrible point, is where we need to go. So slope, rise, over run. What's our graph counting by? It may look like it's counting by 2s, but notice that in my labeling, it skips a line. So it really is counting by 1s. So I rise up 1 space, and I run 1 space. 1 divided by 1 is 1. All right, let's write our final answer here. Y equals our m, our slope was 1, x, and then this time our y-intercept was a -4. So instead of putting +4, we're going to write -4 because our y-intercept was a -4. There we go. Let's see if this is correct. Y equals, I'm going to be a mathematician and not write the 1, x -4. And it is correct. All right, so as you guys are working on this, please be careful. It would be really easy to accidentally forget to type the X, or since the plus and equal sign are the same button, to mix those up. So always double check your answer before you hit submit, because it would be really unfortunate for you to actually get it right, but miss it because of a typo. As always, guys, any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. I am here for you, and you can always come to my help session and ask more questions there. All right, bye, guys.